Hey guys, Ridiculous Badger coming at ya. We're back with more SWE the People. Let's talk about building out your SWE set. You have so few opportunities to pick up Strength and Weaken effect because you can only get Strength and Weaken effect from hull, equipment, and the guild buff. You don't have gems. So you gotta use what you got. You're going to be running Rabbit Ear Headband on the head. The destructions have a base level of 30% strength and weaken, so they're going to scale 3% per level. Meanwhile, your Rabbit Ear Headband is going to scale at 6% per level, but they cost the same exact amount to upgrade a level. So you should always be running a higher level of Rabbit Ear Headband than your destructions are. In a situation where you have not attained full strength and weaken effect, you should not be running this gear. It's not good gear, right? If you look at the base level stuff here, or better yet, if you try and like compare it to other gear of around the same level, even taking out the strength and weaken effect aspect of it, I mean, look, the attack is just pitiful. Plus 35 Rabbit Ear Band is plus 45% attack. My plus 30 Devastation helmet, 5 levels lower, has plus 160 attack. Without the strength and weaken effect aspect of this gear piece, it's just junk. The crit damage, it's just... I'm sorry, at the level that you would need to make this strength and weaken effect gear impactful, you would have such high crit damage that you wouldn't really be doing a ton more damage unless you really started stacking more attack. It's kind of misleading, honestly. Now, getting the gear is one thing. The next part is you need to boost this up. You need to upgrade it and make sure that you get a decent, really a high amount of strength and weaken effect. Yes, 534 is gonna cover you if the enemy has Apocalypse Hull, but chances are that's not going to be the only thing that they will have. They will have the guild buff, and they might have Awaken on, and they might have gems. So we start to get into a spot where you're going to need to really honestly plan to get well into the 600s. Just keep going. Now, obviously, it's going to be insanely expensive, but you want to get it as high as possible. If the case is that you are running this, you need more than anything to attain full strength and weaken effect. There are two ways to run a strength and weaken set, or really any set, because you don't want to lock yourself in to 5-piece gear sets that you run on a commander. It's just gonna end up weighing you down. So while you might have a main gear set that you run on a commander, you should also be keeping in mind what your reasoning is for having that gear set. Like, what do you need from that chest? What purpose does this whole thing fulfill? Like, are you trying to attack people, or are you trying to strength and weaken them? And then you could drill down to what's important about that outfit and cut away the gear pieces that are not integral to that outfit. Like, this is a strength and weaken set, so really the gear that we're talking about here is just the headpiece and the 2 weapons. The chest and the legs can be anything. I mean, I could give you suggestions as to what you might want to run, but in the end, you should be looking at gearing out for situations, not gearing out commanders. So look, I run Taurus in the head for accuracy. I'm running accuracy on my stuff because I'm a bullet main, but if you're not a bullet main, this really isn't the way to go. I'm trying to take advantage of a Taurus 2 set for an additional plus 30 to resistance weaken effect. I run resistance weaken effect on my chest. I run it on my legs. I happen to have Ares on there, so I go for an Ares 4 set just because. But if this is going to be a swap out a modular thing for you, this is not the way to do it. And I would not recommend doing this unless you were a bullet main and you're completely fine in building out every single piece of gear as a swap out for him. But that's a very, very extreme way to play. Rather, it is easiest on gear like this to go with universal gems. Libra is wonderful here. When choosing the gems that you inlay, you're going to have to think about the particular situation that you're using this for. This is for a strength and weaken situation. In that in a situation where you attain full strength and weaken, and there's no point in running this gear if you're not because of the loss in stats as we've gone over previously, you have to inlay gems that make sense in the situation that you were aiming for. If you've attained full strength and weaken effect, honestly, accuracy is not going to be important. You're going to basically auto hit. You could run less than full strength and weaken effect on bullet, and it will still have a positive impact on your accuracy. However, it's still not something I can apply in every single situation. And in the vast majority of situations, my accuracy build bullet is going to hit more often than my strength and weaken bullet because I don't have like 700 strength and weaken effect, and I can assume that because people run resistance weaken, and in Galactic Battle there's awaken, so you just have to have so much of it. So what you want to try and do, you could run Gemini and Libra. Libra can give you extra functionality with tier suppression, which is great. Defense is going to be decent in the head. I mean, you could do attack. Attack is always good. So since you have to plan for a situation where you're going to attain strength and weaken effect, it's not so easy to figure out what kind of gems will actually help with this. Like stuff like, look, you don't need attack, you don't need accuracy, you're gonna win. So I mean, you could go for foresight. This is when you have to like start to think about what are the different options that I might utilize this modular set with other comms. So you have to think about like, hey, would you be running this on a Stella? Well, what chest do I use on Stella? Do I use Gemini and Libra, or do I use Gemini Sagittarius, or do I use Gemini Aries or Gemini Pisces? And that will begin to dictate for you what these gems are that you start inlaying, and it will start to show you kind of what statistics that you're going to want to get on these. So this has to become a focus for you, and it almost becomes a specialization where you pour everything into it, because the enemy is going to keep upgrading their resistance weaken effect gear, and that's going to be a problem for you.